Hey everybody, it's Dr. Quinn here, and I'm going to go over week 7's material for you. So you should see that we've got this overview, we've got some discussions, and we certainly have some assignments as well. Okay, so as part of the overview, we're going to talk about visual rhetorical figures. You know, we've talked about data-driven images before, but now we're going to talk about images that don't just convey data, but attempt to try to make some sort of interesting argument for the audience. Okay, and we've also got some discussions as well, and we've got the Unit 7 assignments. So the learning resources, we've got lecture information on those visual rhetorical figures, which we'll go over in one of our discussions. And then we've got this video, and you have this video from Dr. Bunsley as well from Penn State, but we've got another one, Hans Rosling's 200 Countries, 200 Years, 4 Minutes, The Joy of Statistics. So these are the two main bits of learning materials that you're going to see here, this link here and this video here. They will help prepare you for the discussions. So the first discussion, this is a real interesting one. This is the Gunning-Fogg Index. And the Gunning-Fogg Index has to do with the level of complexity of a text. And it also is important. It's an important tool to consider. It's not one that any technical writer has to use, but it's a tool that helps determine readability for any particular text, and then it could kind of also tell you like lexical level, meaning what is sort of the right appropriate audience for a text like that. So you'll get a chance to look at a sample text and to play around with it, and it may just give you some information for text that you can prepare in a professional workplace. The second discussion is about visual rhetorical figures. So you're going to watch that video from the learning resources. You're going to see what Dr. Bunsley is saying in there, and then you're going to have a response to that, because we generally in technical writing use straightforward data-driven images, but you'll find there are some times when a document has a subtle element of persuasion. I mean, your report to the supervisor had elements of persuasion, and how would you consider this type of image in a document like that? So that's what the discussions are about this week. Now, let's go to the assignments themselves. We've got the resume and cover letter with a summary of the PARC principles. So let's take a look at what that entails. Okay, so this is a one document series of documents. You'll see that what you're going to submit together should be in one document for my ease. It also helps, especially because if students are submitting drafts for feedback, and you know I'm always open to that, I need to be able to know which one is draft and which one is final. And when I have like 25 students, it can be hard to navigate that. So please, even if you're going to submit as draft and final, put everything in one document. Okay. So the summary of the task, it is resume with summary of PARC principles. You'll follow the guidelines through various tools from our career services. We've had the prior discussions on that, and you will write a summary of how you applied PARC principles to your resume or your CV. Okay. There's no minimum and maximum word count. I know some of you have more complex resumes, especially if you're staying in field, right? If you're going to do this practice with your field work for this assignment. But if you're switching fields, your resume may be one shorter. Perfectly fine. The length is not a feature of how this is going to be assessed. So submit the assignment in one document. Your document should include first, copy and paste. So there's going to be a lot of percent matching on this assignment, and it doesn't matter because most of that percent matching is going to be into the job posting and description. Remember, for this assignment, you're not actually applying for a job. If you decide to, fantastic. But the idea is to practice using these technical writing concepts on materials you may end up using in the future at some point. So everybody has finessed those professional documents in the way a technical writer would. So it's sort of, you're getting bang for your buck here. And that whether you're moving into a technical writing field or not, at least you've practiced those concepts and you have a really nice visually appealing document to use for all of your materials, whether it's for application of a new job or for a promotion. So the job posting and description, and then page break, and then cover letter, which should only be on one page, right? And then page break, and then your resume, and then when the resume is done, page break, and then summary of how you applied PARC principles. Okay, so you can see here You can locate a job from any federal job search page, different websites like Monster or LinkedIn or Indeed, Washington Post jobs. Wherever you want to go is fine. It often just depends on your career, right? This is the third time it says one document, so I think we're serious about that. Please just making it easier for me shows me you're thinking like a technical writer. Okay? I want to see the job posting. I don't care if it expired. That's fine. The idea is what I will be considering is I'll be reading that job posting and how are you adapting your materials for that job posting. One of the most important things you can do is use particular keywords to help, especially if those businesses are doing any sort of AI searching, to weed out application materials that don't have the keywords from the job itself. Okay? So at the very end of this, that last section, you're going to include a screen capture. You know how you practice putting images in and writing assignments 2, 3, and 4? You're going to do that here too. And for proximity's sake, show areas of the resume that demonstrate the concept. So you'll take a screenshot, you can edit the screenshots, and then you just write up a couple of sentences explaining each of the PARC concepts. Okay? Note, this assignment does require a draft and a final. So I'll give you an entire week to do the draft, and I'll have the final due. So we'll have the draft due at the end of week 7, and then we'll have the final due in the middle of week 8, that Friday night. Okay? Just like we did with writing assignment 4. And note on here, the highest grade you can get if you don't post the final is an 89.5. The idea is that when we work on these very important types of documents, we get feedback from one another. And here's what screenshots, let me zoom in here, would look like to show the different concepts. So you have a blurb, a couple sentences on proximity, a couple sentences on alignment, a couple sentences on repetition, a couple sentences on contrast. I don't care if this goes 2 pages. And then you're showing with the edits and you're explaining how proximity was designed, how alignment was designed, how repetition and in color, for example, or in spacing or in font style, and then how contrast was designed. So that's what that last section looks like. I think a table like this is just really helpful. It keeps things nice and organized, and you're really using PARC concepts on the assignment itself, which I think is really helpful. The final thing I wanted to show you in this overview video is right here under content, and then, I was earlier in week 7, but now I've gone up to sample papers. Go to the sample PARC analysis and click on this. And this is what I just showed you, much bigger, so you get a chance to see it. I want it to be entirely in your own phrasing, so you're not obviously going to mimic the exact phrasing here, but this is the style of that. Now, we don't have a sample job resume and cover letter because we want you to use your own work, but this is that new element of writing assignment number 5 that you will submit at the end of the packet. So that's what you're doing this week and encroaching a little bit into next week. I hope this overview has been helpful. I'm available to chat with you, so if you do want to have a conference with me to work on this, any of these materials, the best days for me are Fridays and Tuesdays, or Thursday mornings if you can make that happen. So just reach out and let me know. Send me an email. We'll set up a time to chat. If it's a short question, email's perfect. If it's a longer question, definitely send me times you're available via Zoom. I'll send you a Zoom link and we'll coordinate that together. The one thing that I do ask students to avoid is let's go into sending me messages via the message alerts. I'm not in the message alerts every single 24 hours like I am in my email, right? So if you have questions, definitely send them via email and I'll try to respond as soon as I can. If you have any questions, let me know. I look forward to seeing your work this week.